Greetings from the Eccentric Man, and we're back to Lost Ark Games, and we are having a game of bolt action, and we are playing Hold Until Relieved. That's the one. And with that, there is an objective in the centre, which is the command bunker, and that has to be held. The defender can set up one infantry unit and one vehicle up to a maximum of armour 7. Today, I'm playing Allan.
Hello.
We've been trying to get a game for ages and for different things. They just haven't worked. But we are here today playing. So Allan has brought his Paratroopers, British Paratroopers, and it's the 1,000-point starter box set. And we'll go through that because that's a sort of straight up build. I've gone for a sort of a Normandy type list of the Germans, but I've sort of themed it a little bit later into the war. So no harsh things in it, just some interesting things for me. So we'll go through the lists and we'll set up. Alan's going to be the defender. He lost the roll-off and I've decided to attack. So the only reason why I've gone that route is because Alan's got a forward artillery observer who he gets free for the British, and I didn't want to be stationary and receive that. So that's why I went the attacker in this game. So I've got to try and capture it, and Alan's got to try and defend it. So we'll sort out our armies for the first turn, and we'll come back. Let's look at Alan's army. There was a bit of a problem with it because he set it up in a certain way and it was different to his list. He hasn't played since before lockdown, so we'll give him a bit of leeway on that. So let's see if we can go through. Everything is veteran. It's from the 1,000-point starter army set, and he's got a second lieutenant. He should have had a sniper and a Piat team and a flamethrower team, 3 sections of infantry up to about 10 men, not with too many machine guns. Mostly sort of 3 machine guns per squad. I think 2 squads had that, and then 1 squad had 7 rifles out of it. So yeah, much about that. Each had a light machine gun. Then he had a 6-pounder, a mortar, medium mortar, and a heavy machine gun. And they were all, as I say, they were all veterans. And the forward artillery observer. We started off with it in a different configuration, but then I realised what the problem was, and then we swapped around his army to fit that it was. As it's just a game, playing it for fun, there was no problem. As I knew that Allan was bringing his paratroopers, I thought I'd put together an army which was like sort of based on Arnhem and Market Garden. So I had 1 small unit of 6 SS, and they were mostly, I think I had about 3 or 4 assault guns in that, and a light machine gun. And then I had 2 paratroop units, Fallschirmjägers, and they were veterans as well. And I think they had 3 assault guns, assault rifles in the unit, and an LMG. And then I had 2 here regiments, which were regulars, and they were just and an LMG. I had a medium mortar with spotter, and I had the 222 armoured car. I had a truck, veteran, but no machine gun on it, and I had the Stummel, I think it's the 251, or is it the 250, with a light howitzer. I can't remember which one it was, but it was something a little bit different. Haven't played an army like this for some time. Thought about putting a Stug 3 in, but changed my mind and went with the Stummel because it gave me an option to have a few more infantry in the list. So we're playing Hold Until Relieved, and the British have set up. The British at the back will come on in first turn because they're the first wave. But set up on the table is the first paratrooper unit and a 2-inch mortar. So then for me, as the attacker, I can put all my infantry on. So I've put some here on the left. I've got my Fallschirmjägers by this shell crater. There's my officer, and then we've got another Fallschirmjäger unit and another here unit on this side, and I've got to think where I'm going to put my mortar. That's a bit dodgy there, so I think I'm going to advance him up behind the wood as long as it's 18 inches away from that command bunker in the middle. End of turn 1, and the British Paras are pushing up to the control bunker. We've got the Paras on the far side of the wall, and 2 squads coming up the centre, and another 2 squads over here. The MMG went down on that position, covering the road. I've moved my Germans up, sort of hugging the terrain behind the ruins and behind the woods, into the shell crater and up over into the little paddock on the far side. Shooting wise, I've been a bit lucky and took out Allan's forward artillery observer, who was in the ruins.
Disastrous.
I did roll a lot of 6s to get him, because I needed to roll 6s followed by 6s, and I did. But Allan has scored 1 dead man from the Germans. He managed to hit the unit over here and kill 1 and put 1 pin on. So end of turn 1. We're just pushing things up. The reserves can come on now in turn 2, and we'll see where we progress. End of turn 2, and the reserves are on and committed, and Allan's brought his 6-pounder onto the table there, and that's because I brought out the Stummel, but the Stummel missed the infantry unit as it came on, so didn't do as quite what it did. The mortars have failed to hit their targets. They needed 5s, but they've missed, so they haven't done very much. I'm hugging the terrain, moved up a little bit with the here infantry on this side to put some pressure on the ruins. Allan went down with the unit there just to keep them safe behind the wall, and with the shooting from the mortar and the Stummel, he put the units down to keep them a bit safe. Lost 1 man, but not too bad. Officers now come on. Medium mortar is on, and the MMG put a pin on the unit of here in the ruin, and I really was ineffectual on putting the hurt on the unit of Paras just by, did I kill a man?
You did.
Killed 1 man and put a pin, which really they should have had a load more on them, but didn't work. And moved the Paras up to the wall here to get a bit of better firing position. Wanted to bring on the 222, but failed the leadership test, and they went down off board. But Allan now has everything on the table, isn't he? Yep. Me, I've still got my truck and my SS in reserve, and the 222, which is off board, waiting to come on. So, into turn 3. End of turn 3, and we've had to do a bit of rearranging of the armies, because Allan's was a little bit out of sync, so we've sorted that out. He appeared to have 4 infantry units when he should have had 3, so we've rearranged the figures in the units, so they're back to what they are. John will be with you very shortly.
Hey, thank you.
That's just somebody coming into the shop, because John's gone off to the loo, and he's had to lock the door. But we're playing away in another room, so just had to give them a shout. So yes, end of turn 3. Allan's been shooting at the here unit in the ruins. I've had to rally them to get rid of their pins. The 222 failed its test to come on, so that's 2 turns now. It's gone down and not come on the board. He did advance up his flamethrower team, and we did kill it. He made a mistake and he didn't want to take his turn back, so he went for the shot, and he did die sadly. Over here, the light mortar's taken a move, and Allan's moved up his units behind the objective, and you can see the Piat team moving across the open there, and we've got a sniper team in the middle. 6-pounder went down because I had the drop of the dice, and I fired my Stummel at the 6-pounder, and I only needed a 4 to hit it, so he went down, and that moved it up to a 6, and that meant that I didn't get the required number. I rolled a 5. Moving over, I've sprung my outflank. I concentrated on this para unit and put 2 pins on them, and that caused that needs to go back there. Yeah, they stay there.
Oh, they stay.
Yeah, and that caused them a bit. 2 pins put a bit of trouble on them. So I brought my truck on, debussed my infantry, and Allan decided to go down with them that time round, which did save them a bit. But we did kill one, and we put 3 pins on. So we had a discussion on British tactics, because Allan's fairly new to playing bolt action, and he's a little bit unclear on what the national characteristics for the British are. So I've gone through giving him the lowdown on them. So, and I think you'd probably go for the up and atom, wouldn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
So the up and atom means that if Allan gets a drop with the dice, that means those pins wouldn't count, and he could charge into the units, one of the units that are there. So he could do that, and the pins don't count in hand to hand. So for all intents and purposes, they don't exist for the British paras if they charge. So that's sort of about the characteristic for them. And I always go for the up and atom when I'm playing with the British and I use paras. It's always nice to charge when people think, oh, you're not going to be able to. Over on this side, in the centre, these units just put the pin on the paras behind that wall. Yeah, so that's it. The mortar team missed. It needed a 4, and it missed. So its target has now moved. So that's going to have to rearrange and look for something else. So end of turn 4, we've only just 1 unit lost, but we're jockeying around, and Allan's much up close, and he's holding the objective in the centre. So for me, turn 4, I'm going to be looking at taking out the units to try and capture that command post. First dice out, turn 4, was the Germans. So I fired with the SS on the paratroopers, and Allan decided to keep them up, hoping that he would survive and be able to attack and charge. So I rolled my dice, 12 dice, and all I managed to do was put 1 pin on them. So they are still fine if they want to charge on their dice. And Allan's just pulled out a dice.
I will be charging.
So he may well be charging my SS. Probably. Oh, it's a tricky one, isn't it? So he could charge the SS, or he could charge the here, but the here are 6 inches away. Possibly, maybe less. I don't know. We'll have to see, because if they're over 6 inches away, I can shoot at them, and if they're under 6 inches, I can't. So, end of turn 4, and a very interesting turn indeed. The paratroopers, even with all those pins, with the up and atom rule, charged the SS and killed 2. I could only kill 1 of the paras, so the SS were wiped out. I didn't take them as fanatics, they were just veterans, so they were wiped out. I managed to put another pin on with the here unit, but if the first dice out is the paratroopers could be into the here and could knock them out, because the paratroopers are veterans, the here are regular, and it would be simultaneous. But I would need 5s to kill the paratroopers, and the paratroopers would need 4s to kill my here. So yeah, interesting. Allan was also more fortunate on this side with his well, that was pretty fortunate to take out the SS actually, but on this side he used his 6-pounder, got the drop, and yep, the Stummel gets it. Knocked that out quite convincingly with getting 3 penetration plus penetration on it, so he got 2 dice to roll on the chart. That was an interesting question. I couldn't work out. He got 2 3s. So each hit for the fire does an additional pin, so that's 2 pins. So I worked it out. I wasn't sure whether to do it as 2 separate hits or to do it as 1 hit on a -4. So I went for -4, but if you have an idea, let me know in the comments below. The mortars, ineffectual, missed. Mine didn't do any good, and Allan's didn't do any good. I've advanced out my paratroopers into the centre. Now they've took some shots on this unit here. That's because I'm trying to get the objective. So I've had to bring them out. Fortunately, The 222 came on this turn, killed 2 of the MMG and put a pin on them. But we've still got this unit here that's messing around, and my units over here I put down just to keep them safe. But we'll be going into turn 5, so all the dice will be back into the bag. So they're going to be able to activate and take some action. But it's I think it's in the balance of what we're looking at. So I have to check the objectives, but I think I've got to capture that, and I've got to start moving on it very, very soon. Hence coming out into the centre with my Fallschirmjägers. So, on to turn 5. End of turn 5, and it's been a very bloody turn, particularly for the Germans. Let's have a look at the first set of actions, which was over here. And you remember there was a paratrooper squad and there was a here infantry squad. I've not had 4 rounds of combat for a very long time. So within bolt action, remember that if it's a draw, you continue on, and then if it's another draw, you continue on, and if it's another draw, you continue on. And we did. So 4th turn of combat, it left us with 1 paratrooper. And there he is. But he's okay. Over here, this paratrooper unit that you see, which has gone there, was quite close over here and decided to take a shot at these paratroopers. But there was a foobar, and Allan rolled a 6, so they ran away. So they've legged it over there. I, on the other hand, used my officer team to charge Allan's light mortar. And you can't see the light mortar team here anymore, but you can't see my officer team here either. And my officer team got wiped out by his light mortar team. I didn't roll any hits, and Allan rolled 1 and wiped them out. So that meant I had to charge my paratrooper troops. Oh no, I've got an echo there. The paratroopers, the Fallschirmjäger. God, my mind's gone. It's a horrendous game. So I had to charge them into the light mortar team to get rid of them, and then consolidated behind here. You may have seen the 6-pounder took out the Stummel last time, so that was a nuisance. My mortar team missed on the unit that they needed a 4, and they needed a 5, and they didn't get that. So they've been pretty ineffectual. Talking of ineffectual things, my 222 that failed to come on twice has advanced up here, close range, shooting at the paratroopers, put a pin on them. Incredible. And then over here, he has gone. The paratrooper unit that I failed to kill or do any damage to, no, I didn't even do a pin, did I? No. Killed 4 out of the 7 here that was left, and I failed the leadership test. Boink, and they're gone. And the medium machine gun team is still there. So if we look at the end of turn 5, we're looking going into 6. I'm holding the objective, but to contest it, Allan only needs to get a unit within 3 inches of it, and he's got 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 chances to do that in turn 6, and I've really only got 2 units that can possibly stop it. So let's see what happens in turn 6. Wow. End of turn 6, and the game has ended. We rolled the dice to see if it would go on to turn 7, and it won't. However, it is a very hard-fought draw. I thought I'd been able to put a ring of steel around the blockhouse, but it wasn't to be. The snipers were able to run 6 and just get within 3. The unit of Fallschirmjägers on this side took such a battering. They took some shots. Took a shot from the 6-pounder. Allan got a cheeky little 6 on his first ranging in shot with the mortar. Put 3 pins on, killed 2 men, the paratroopers here are charging up the road, and they put another pin on them. But sadly for Allan, he didn't kill any. Didn't kill. He only needed to knock out 2, and they would have had a leadership test. So they would have been a bit in trouble there, I think. So yeah, a really hard-fought game. The paratroopers were all veterans, so that the British paratroopers were all veterans, which caused a lot of difficulty trying to kill them off. Yeah, really interesting game, and a good result, I think, a draw for the 2. Me trying to be sneaky to protect it with that ring, and Allan just sneaking through with the sniper team at the end. An interesting game, if not a little bit confusing over the army setup for Allan's paras. But as I say, he's not played since the beginning of the lockdown, where we had a little game then. So he's new to the game as well, so it was a little bit confusing for him. But we've got the army sorted out in the end. And as you can see, he finally managed to get the draw from it by using his little units to move up and contest it at the end. And that's the key thing with bolt action. It's all scenario driven, and you're playing towards a scenario, and it's always good to remember and to look at what the objectives of that scenario were. I was going to have a lot of difficulty. I think just with the squads that I had, I probably spread them out a little bit too thin, not supporting enough to protect that centre objective. But anyway, good fun. Shame about the Stummel not doing very much, but that's how it goes with the dice rolls. Hope you enjoyed the video and the game. Look forward to another game at some stage with somebody. In the lockdown, it's possibly once a week or not even that still, but we'll get there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification bell to give you an idea of when the next video is up and live. Until the next time, take care.